Welcome into the DNVR Buffs weekly breakdown presented by Canyon Bakehouse. Canyon Bakehouse makes delicious, certified gluten-free breads, bagels, English muffins, and other baked goods right here in Colorado. Their gluten, dairy, nut, and soy-free products make it easy for families to enjoy the taste and texture of fresh bread so everyone can love bread again. Find them at any major grocery store in the freezer or fresh bread aisle and visit CanyonGlutenFree.com to grab a coupon. I'm Allie Monroy, and with me today is DNVR Buffs beat writer Henry Chisholm. We get Pac-12 After Dark this week. The Buffs take on the Oregon Ducks in Oregon on Friday night. The Buffs have dealt with a lot of injuries. They had 9 starters out during that game against Arizona. Henry, how are they going to make up for that in this Oregon game?
It's going to be tough. A lot of coaches talk about that like next man up mentality, and you hear it and you just kind of roll your eyes. But with Mel Tucker, it just kind of feels different to hear him talk about it. Like just the way he approaches and has all of his student athletes approach football just makes you think that they're going to be ready. Like it's almost like this military-esque style where everybody's totally bought in. So you have to hope that they're ready to play. You know, a couple of the guys who subbed in the last couple weeks have been, and a couple of guys haven't looked like they were quite ready.
So this Oregon offensive line, maybe one of the best in the Pac-12. How are the Buffs going to adapt to that? How are they going to put pressure?
I mean, that's one of the big questions. You know, for as good as this Oregon offensive line is, and you could say that it's the best offensive line in the entire country, last week against Cal, they gave up some pressure, and Justin Herbert was under duress. That's part of the reason he threw his first interception of the season. But it's going to be tough for the Buffs to do that, especially if Mustafa Johnson, the senior defensive end, can't play. He's the one guy they've been able to consistently go to for pressure, and without him, it could be pretty ugly.
Do we have any injury update on Mustafa Johnson, on Laviska Shenault, KD?
So there are a bunch of guys who are out. All that we really know is that the cornerback Chris Miller had ACL surgery and he's done for the year. Laviska Shenault might play. Katie Nixon might play. Jalen Sammy might play. Sounds like tight end Brady Russell is probably the closest to being back. Mustafa might play. They're all just game time decisions. So
which Brady got his touchdown last week?
He did on a great play from Steven Montez. You know, dodging 2 tacklers in the backfield and then rolling back out to his left, finding Brady Russell. I mean, that kind of sums up what Steven Montez can do when he's at his best.
Well, on the Denver Sports Podcast, you talked about Steven Montez winning the week because this is some of the best football that he's had a chance to play.
Yeah, I think that he's starting to really pick up on the system. I think he understands his role, both as a distributor, somebody who can be kind of mechanical, clinical from inside the pocket, getting the ball to the open receiver, making a couple reads. But then also when things break down, he's showing that he's able to get outside the pocket and make plays. And those are, that's something we always knew he had, but now he isn't just relying on that. Because when you create chaos, even if he's pretty good under the chaos, crazy things can happen.
Yeah, and he can still be frustrating at times, but you have to come to expect that with a college quarterback. Yeah. But saying that he's improved from last year is huge. He definitely feels more confident and comfortable going out of that pocket and even being in the pocket with this offensive line. What do the Buffs need to do to come out of Oregon with a win?
They need to be healthy. That's for one. If you don't have Laviska Shenault, the best player in the Pac-12, it's going to be tough to beat the best team in the Pac-12. Same thing with Katie Nixon. I think Mikhail Onu came back for the last couple snaps of the last game, so he should be good to go. But, they got to limit the big plays. Oregon hasn't been great about picking up big plays, even with that offensive line. So that matchup seems to be a little bit better for the Buffs than you'd probably expect, that passing offense, Justin Herbert versus the defense. But I mean, they've got to clean that up, and they've got to produce on offense like they can when they're playing at their best.
The Ducks are favored by 3 touchdowns. Do you have a score prediction for this game?
Ooh, that's a good question. It's weird, though, because I don't think anything would really surprise me. This isn't like your traditional Ducks team that's fast and trying to score. They just pound the ball behind that offensive line, and they have a good defense. They don't get into as many shootouts as they have in the past. So I do think the Buffs cover, mostly because this game will be lower scoring than a lot of people would assume. I would say that Oregon probably comes out with a 38-24 win.
All right, well, like you said, you never know what can happen, especially with Pac-12 After Dark. We've seen some crazy games already this season, but Henry will be in Oregon for the game, so be sure to catch all of our post-game content on thednvr.com. For Henry Chisholm, I'm Allie Monroy, DNVR.